survivor. I hope I've been an advocate for people that I know of that have had cancer. Our daughter survived Hodgkin's disease 25 years ago. My husband is a prostate cancer survivor, and my sister, as you know, Sally, is a double mastectomy cancer survivor. And most recently, my dear, dear friend, her journey ended on March 10th of this year. Her journey started in January of 24, and had it not been for Sally and her support, I think her journey would have been a lot shorter. It started in Vero for the first 2 months, and in March of 24, I finally called Sally and I said, Sally, there's an issue here. Carol's been dealing with physicians up here. Nobody seems to be able to diagnose her problem, and they're now telling her it may be gynecological. You need to see an oncologist, but it'll take a month for you to get an appointment. So I said, hold on. So I called Sally, and within a day, she had an appointment for us down here at Jupiter. The physician immediately hospitalized her, took care of her acute issues, did all of the testing that week, and said, Carol, it's not gynecological. You have B-cell lymphoma, but I do have a physician in Vero that I know will take care of you. They called that physician within a day after being released from the hospital here. She saw this physician who said we need to start chemo immediately. Unfortunately, her numbers were not good, so they had to wait another week. They started the chemo, halfway through the chemo, and she loved this physician. The doctor was moving to Tampa. So she ends up with another physician who says, okay, fine, we'll continue on with the therapy. And at the end of therapy, which we thought was going to be the end of everything, he then said, well, we need to do some maintenance for another year. So he starts the maintenance, tells her she's going to be fine. She leaves to go to Chicago to visit her grandchildren. And while she's there that week, she ends up in the hospital very, very sick. And they proceed to tell her that she now has more tumors throughout her body. He then proceeds to do major surgery. They did a bowel resection, removed her appendix, and said, now you need to go see your doctor back in Vero. She goes back to Vero. The doctor says, okay, we'll start some treatments. She's not getting, obviously, any better. He then says to her, well, maybe you need to go to a center. In the interim, Sally is calling her, I'm calling her, we're texting her. The doctor then says, well, it's going to take us some time to get you to Mayo Clinic. Fortunately, the doctor that Sally's friend here had referred her to called her in the hospital. Said, Carol, how are things going? Carol said, not well. And she said, you know, what is going on? She proceeded to tell her. And she said, let me make a call. The very next day, she had the referral to Mayo Clinic. But by the time she got to Mayo, it was too late. They were going to do a CAR T therapy, but they tried some other modalities first, none of which worked. By the time they got to the CAR T, it was too late. So March 10th, her journey ended. But had it not been for Sally and all of her help with us and her calling her, I know she had lunch with her that summer. I was up north, and Sally made every effort to meet with her and to help her through this and to offer her any help, because she didn't have family here other than her husband. And as every one of you have said, it is so important to have that support. Just a little phone call or a text, just so that they know. At the very end, she couldn't even respond to us, and her husband told me last week that she didn't want any of us to see her the way she was. They wanted us to remember her as she was. So the support system that Live Like Crazy and Sally has offered, I'm sure to many of you here, is extremely important, as it was to me as well as to my friend. So for that I say thank you, and I hope that you will continue to support Live Like Crazy. Thank you.